Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So, the cat is sitting across the room. People are working on the street right outside the window. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing, but the cat would like nothing better than an opportunity to go out and supervise. He is a very good supervisor. He has no problem telling everybody what their job is and exactly how they're supposed to do it. So, for obvious reasons, I'm keeping him safely indoors. Now, we'll have to see how well this works out. Also, this video is being filmed and airing on the 25th. So even though I know that it is the 26th for our friends in Australia and New Zealand, as well as our friends in the UK and the rest of Europe, don't think I forgot you, because I never do. At the end of this video, we're showing a slideshow. It is my favorite, but we only show it once a year. So, in commemoration of Anzac Day, thank you for always having our backs. Now, I'm going to go blow my nose because I can't do this without tearing up. We'll be back after the intro, and we will talk about a lighter subject. So, bullying, that's what we're going to discuss today. And it's just strange, like some sort of weird synchronicity that all of this stuff is dropping all at once. We have Melissa McCarthy, who's giving out interviews saying that the reason people are unhappy with Nutmeg is because, they're just hateful people and they're threatened by her because she's a smart woman. Oh, Melissa. I don't even know what to say. It's not as if Melissa is on the faculty of Harvard or anything like that. So what we're talking about is just basically one idiot saying, look how smart this other idiot is, and that's why everybody dislikes her. Well, Melissa, if you didn't check your brain at the door, you'd know better. And then we have the sock puppet allegedly having won an argument with Nutmeg. I suppose that's supposed to prove that he knows his own mind. The argument was to keep the putative children out of the Invictus Games. What, like they've ever been there to begin with? Like that is somehow newsworthy? We are not seeing the putative children. That's not newsworthy. Not even close. But what we do have that is actually interesting about this whole bullying subject is that Samantha Cohen, formerly press secretary to Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet when they were working royals, which was a long time ago, and I'm sure many of the young Gen Z people don't even remember that far back, she has started to talk carefully, discreetly about the bullying allegations that were raised dating back to the time that Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet were working royals and terrorizing their staff. Oh, by the way, they're still doing it because another little tidbit is they have new changes in their staff. Again, that happens so often, it's scarcely even newsworthy. It's just, you don't even raise an eyebrow about that anymore. That is not just business as usual for these people, but staff turnover is actually their brand. Now, Tom Bauer has said that he believes that Samantha Cohen coming out and speaking out is sort of just pushing open the floodgates. A little trickle of information, and before you know it, it's going to be all over the place. It's just going to be pouring out. And I think he's right. That's usually the way these things happen. And Tom Bauer is old enough to have seen this play out many, many times. So I have no doubt that we can take his word for it. Yeah. Samantha Cohen is like the first drops in the bucket, and then the rest are going to follow. Now, Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet had claimed they were disappointed that the royal family was keeping the results of their investigation into the bullying by Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet under wraps. Now, the palace said they were doing this to protect the privacy of the bullied individuals because, of course, to begin with, they were bullied. And then if you start throwing their names and their identities around, who knows? Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet have a very vocal fan base that just, well, they're not known for their polite comments. They have doxed people. They have threatened people. It's pretty bad. So one understands that the palace would have worked to protect people who were already victimized once from being victimized yet again. Makes perfect sense. But the spin Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet put on it was they were disappointed because they were going to be vindicated. Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Even looking at comments the Sock Puppet made in his fabrication of his life story, otherwise known as Spare, even with comments he made in that disastrous and utterly self-serving rendition of his life's events, it was clear that bullying was, in fact, taking place. And the idea that somehow none of their staff knew what they were doing and deserved to be bullied, well, that's just, I don't even know what to say about that. It's just so far beyond the pale, but hey, this is kind of what we're used to. But then we have another example of bullying. And this is not Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet directly bullying, but it's indirect bullying. It's someone who's clearly a Montecito fan. Interviewed Angela Levin recently. And this article is from Newsweek. So I'm reading the whole article out for you because it's short and because I don't want you to have to go through the bother of tracking this down for yourself. And besides, the more views an article like this, because this is from an online source, the more views it gets, the more one validates the points that they're trying to make. And I don't think those points deserve validation. So we are going to go through the article and then we are going to start to pick it apart. So here you go. Royal author storms out of Meghan Markle debate. This was published on the 23rd of April, 2024 by Newsweek, and it was written by their chief royal correspondent, Jack Royston. Royal biographer Angela Levin left a TV debate about Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand after being told, quote, "You sound like a troll." Levin, author of 2018 book Harry, a biography of a prince, was confronted on Talk TV by presenter J.J. Anasiobi during a discussion about Meghan sending jars of her strawberry jam to her celebrity friends who posted on social media about the gifts. Among the recipients was Abigail Spencer, Meghan's former Suits co-star, who was also close enough to the Duchess of Sussex to be interviewed on her Netflix show. During their debate, Over video link, Levin had painted Meghan as a domineering partner in her relationship with Harry and said she dragged him along at royal engagements. In a clip that went viral on X, formerly Twitter, Anisiobi told Levin, "It sounds like you've got a vendetta against Meghan Markle. Angela, with respect, you sound like a troll. You sound like a social media troll. Everything you can point out that's incorrect." Levin replied, "That's very rude. You don't call someone a troll with respect. That's without respect. Let me talk about something else. Abigail Spencer, who is also a friend of Meghan's, she has given the sixth jar of jam, right? And we see her lying on the grass, hugging it with a dog close by. It was a very sort of set up thing. That's one when she's sitting up. I thought, how ridiculous. This is a jar of jam. Why are we getting hysterical about a jar of jam?" "Who's hysterical about it?" Anisiobi said. "It's PR. She's trying to sell something. This is called advertising." "I know what PR is," replied Levin. The host said, "With respect, you clearly don't. You're saying it's so set up. It's a PR stunt." "You're here to fight me, so why don't you say goodbye?" Levin said. "Thank you so much. You're very rude. I don't really listen. Goodbye." "I'm not here to fight you. I'm just laying out the truth to you," Anisiobi said. "No, Angela, you don't want to be challenged. You won't be challenged, and you won't be scrutinized. I'd like to know." "Oh, and she's gone. You see, this is what happens when you challenge people, when you go to them and you say to them, here's some facts, here's some truths. Some people don't like it. If people can't answer the truths, what do? They hang up," Anisiobi said. Newsweek contacted Angela Levin for comment. Omid Scobie, author of royal biography Endgame, wrote on X, LOOOOOOOOOOOOOOL, in brackets, laugh out loud. "Sorry, but the royal beat is so unserious." UK commentator Narinda Kaur wrote, "Well done," at JJ Anisiobi. "About time someone called her out. Angela Levin can dish it out, but can't take it." Media personality Ryan Mark Parsons wrote, "Not well handled. Calling an elderly woman a troll is totally unnecessary. Angela was making some valid points. The pathetic jam pot posts are utterly cringeworthy." Levin wrote her biography of Harry off the back of an exclusive interview she did with the prince for Newsweek in 2017, marking the 20th anniversary of Princess Diana's death. However, since Harry and Meghan quit Britain for a new life in America in 2020, Levin has taken a more hostile line in relation to the Sussexes. In June 2023, she took part in unfounded social media speculation that Harry's Heart of Invictus documentary had been canceled, writing, "Has Netflix canceled Harry's Invictus Games documentary? The show went ahead on the streaming platform 2 months later. In November 2022, Levin was criticized after replying to a photograph of Meghan with a post reading, quote, "Look how white Meghan's skin color looks." So let's get down to pick this thing apart. We're starting off with the fact that this was written by Jack Royston, who is notoriously pro-Sussex. We've seen this time and time again. He calls himself a chief royal correspondent. And before we get too much further along with this, I've said this before, you all know my feelings about these alleged royal correspondents. Royal experts is another term they use. In many cases, in fact, I dare say in the overwhelming majority of cases, these alleged experts have zero contact with the working royals, may have had casual contact with some of the people, as in the case of Angela Levin or others who have worked on biographies or whatever in the distant past, even moving over to Paul Burrell, whose only association was having been Diana's butler, and Diana has been dead for more than a quarter of a century, so zero contact since then. These are not people with the inside track. So we need to make that very clear, and I've said this many, many times, so anyone who thinks I am in particular a fan of Angela Levin, think again. But what happened here was wrong. So they start off by hitting their headline, their clickbait, saying that Steube, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, J.J. Steube had called Angela Levin a troll. You sound like a troll. Yeah, that is pretty darn hostile, especially when you're interviewing someone. So let's make no mistake about this. The lines were very clearly drawn from the get-go. Now, as we move into the back and forth on this, Angela Levin characterizes the relationship between Nutmeg and the sock puppet as one in which Nutmeg is the domineering partner. She's not the first person to say that. She's not the only person to say that. The internet is so full of memes. Let me just show you a few. It's all over the place. And these are not even the worst of them. These are just a few that I turned up with about a 15-second search. If I had been willing to put 2 minutes into it, I could have done a whole video of nothing but Nutmeg dragging the sock puppet around by a ring in his nose. That would have been it. Whole video's worth. So, this is not anything that's new. It's not anything that Levin dredged up out of her own vivid imagination. And Steube's response was, it sounds like you've got a vendetta against Meghan Markle. Well, heck, I'm saying the same things, and I don't have any vendetta against Meghan Markle. I don't hate the woman. I don't even know the woman. And as I have said in the past, I'm quite certain if I ever met her, and if she thought it was worth her while to win me over, I'm sure I'd love her, because she is just an expert at love bombing. That's what she does. She sucks people in like a hungry spider, sucks them dry, and then spits them out of her web so that she has room for new targets. All right, enough about that. Steube continues on with, Angela, with respect, you sound like a troll. You sound like a social media troll. Why, we had to repeat that because we didn't get it the first time around. Well, Levin replies very correctly that that's rude, and you don't call someone a troll with respect. And the simple fact of the matter is, with all due respect, is it's like a please forgive the insult I am about to lay on you preface to, an insult that's going to be laid on somebody.
With all due respect, man, I hate it when people say that, because it is inevitably followed by a disrespectful remark.
Nobody says, with all due respect, unless they know the next words coming out of their mouth are going to sound very disrespectful. And frankly, it's the refuge of a coward, someone who wants to insult you but doesn't want to take responsibility for it. Levin goes on in this discussion they had to start talking about the jam jar thing. And I agree with her absolutely. This was just absurd. Angela described it as a setup. And Steube goes back on this and says, it's PR. She's trying to sell something. This is advertising. I'm not sure in what way that is different from Angela's claim that these were not candid photos, that this was set up, that these were posed. Did anybody really think that Abigail Spencer is rolling around in her garden, snuggling a jar of jam, and what, just happened to be caught by a neighbor with a cell phone? I don't think so. Of course it was set up. Of course, this was nothing but hype. This was not what it was pretending to be, which is a candid moment, just someone in love with her jam. No, not even close. But it's very interesting because Steube, who is saying the same thing, that it's PR, that she's trying to sell something, is complaining that Angela Levin had said, this is a setup. This is not what it looks like. This is not reality. This was posing. It was advertising. So, and Steube doubles down with this and says, with respect, you clearly don't, when Levin said she knew what PR was. Again, with respect. Love that. You're saying it's so set up. It's a PR stunt. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what he's saying too. Come on. This is nothing but a celebrity endorsement commercial of a jar of jam for which these people might very well have been paid. We don't know that. Or maybe this is just the price of admission. If you don't want to get markled, you do whatever Nutmeg asks you to do. I don't know. To me, I would not cross the street to avoid getting markled. It just wouldn't mean that much to me. But hey, I'm not them. And then, of course, Steube says, I'm not here to fight you. I'm just laying out the truth to you. Well, whose truth? Whose truth is he laying out? It is not the truth, because clearly his truth and Angela's truth are not the same. And the real truth, who knows, maybe somewhere in the middle. But he is not the keeper of the truth, which is what he's saying. And then, of course, he goes ahead after saying he's not there to fight. You don't want to be challenged. You don't want to be scrutinized, and she walks out at that point, which quite frankly is a reasonable thing to do. And of course, when he has the floor all to himself, if people can't answer the truths, what do? They hang up. No, when people are being insulted, when they are being bullied, when they are being abused publicly, they walk out. Well, that's what Angela did. Other people might have thrown their coffee at him. Who knows? But I don't think there was anything wrong with Angela Levin leaving. I think that was the reasonable and restrained response to what was clearly a highly antagonistic interview. And then, of course, we move on to Ahmed Steube, who clearly doesn't understand. LOL. Laugh out loud. He's got to have loads and loads and loads. Laugh out, etc. 14 O's in that. Laugh out loud. That just shows you what his education level is. And that also shows you we just don't need to take him seriously. I don't know who Narinda Kaur is. It's a UK commentator, so why would I know? And someone called Angela Levin out. Well, it's about time she can dish it out, but she can't take it. I don't even know why that is a comment that would have made it into what is supposed to be. I mean, this is supposed to be Newsweek. This is supposed to be news. Just what can I say about that? That is bizarre, a very bizarre inclusion. Then they throw in somebody named Ryan Mark Parsons, and he's a media personality. I don't know who he could be dating a Kardashian for all I know. I have no idea what his claim to fame is as a media personality, but he had what I consider to be the most sensible and reasonable response when he said, "Not well handled." Calling an elderly woman a troll is unnecessary. Angela was making some valid points. The pathetic jam posts are utterly cringeworthy. Well, that part may, in fact, be subjective. But criticizing someone for calling a woman who's going to be 80 this year, so when he says elderly, he's talking big time elderly. She's going to be 80 this year. Calling her a troll is totally unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. The fact of the matter is, part of Angela Levin's appeal as a royal commentator is that she's very outspoken about Nutmeg and the sock puppet. They can use her in a point-counterpoint discussion, knowing right away, immediately, which side of the issue she's going to fall on. And of course, I would also say that Parsons is right. The pathetic jam pop posts are utterly cringeworthy. And Angela Levin was not only not the first, but certainly not the only one to say so. So that, in effect, oh, I'm sorry, let me deal with the last one. The last bit was a criticism that Angela Levin had written, a question: has Netflix canceled Harry's Invictus Games documentary? Well, if that's all she said, I don't understand why people are citing this to prove that Angela Levin obviously has a broken crystal ball because it didn't happen. No, the fact is that she threw the question out there. I do not know in what context. She may well have looked at the evidence both ways. Who knows? But that alone certainly doesn't make their point, which suggests to me very, very sloppy research. Also, they are complaining about a post reading, "Look how white Meghan's skin color looks." Well, that would probably carry a lot more weight if Nutmeg was not the one who threw race into the discussion in the first place. What can I say? She opened the door for this. So essentially, what we have at this point is an article that seems to be praising a man who went out of his way to bully an elderly woman. And when you analyze what was being said, she's right and he's wrong. And frankly, I would have come up with exactly the same evaluation if it had been the other way around. If, in fact, it had been some pro-Nutmeg people making the same arguments. How could I not? Because Levin's arguments are valid. That's all there is to it. But the problem is, Nutmeg and the sock puppet polarize people. It's like you either love them or you hate them. And personally, I don't hate them. Like I said, I don't even know them. I don't want to. That was not an invitation to send them to my house or anything like that. No, thank you. I have a cat. And seriously, if I want self-absorbed idiocy, all I have to do is walk over to the sofa. Oh, and the cat will probably bite me if I rub his fur the wrong way. So in what way am I missing out by not having Nutmeg and the sock puppet in my life? Not at all. So I feel it's important that we look at this sort of thing carefully, because when you see this, you'll see a clip is trending But that's in isolation. You're not getting the whole story. You're not getting everything that Angela Levin put out. You're not getting everything that Steube threw back at her, when she said it was a setup, and he's like, well, that's advertising and PR. What? In what way is advertising and PR different from what Levin was saying in that these were all staged? Hello. I mean, honestly, you don't need to be an expert in media communications to see that what he was saying was exactly what Levin was saying, only he was attempting to attack her, to bully her. So shame on him. And that's something we should be taking away from this. All right. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. And I'm not going to start sobbing, I swear I'm not, but it is Anzac Day here. And I've mentioned this before. I keep my little flags and I stick them outside in a potted plant. It confuses my neighbors, but this is one of two holidays I observe in the year. The Australian and New Zealand War Dead Day and the US War Dead Day, Memorial Day. So those are the two. The flags go out. And we are going to look at a slideshow, my favorite, but I only show this once a year because it's special. So take a look at the slideshow. I will see you all next time. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.